Now, President Trump is indicating he wants to send the National Guard to another city.
So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us.
The president has already said he'll send the National Guard to Chicago and Baltimore, though no date's been set. New Orleans is also a predominantly Democratic-leaning city in a red state. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry welcomed the federal intervention, though many city leaders in New Orleans said deploying the Guard would be an overreach. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the head of the Health and Human Services Department, testified before a Senate committee this morning. He faced questions and criticism for his role overseeing the Centers for Disease Control and its decisions about vaccines. Our Allie Rasmus has been following the terse words and accusations all hearing. She's with us at noon now for an update. Allie.
Garcia, the hearing lasted about 3 hours and became heated at times with raised voices and fiery exchanges between mostly Democratic senators and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But Kennedy also did face some pointed questions from Republicans, specifically 2 Republican senators on the committee who also happen to be doctors.
There are real concerns that safe, proven vaccines like measles, like hepatitis B and others could be in jeopardy.
Republican Senator from Wyoming John Barrasso expressed concerns about the direction of the CDC under Secretary Kennedy and the firing of the CDC director last week, reportedly over disagreements about vaccine policy.
I support vaccines. I'm a doctor. Vaccines work. Secretary Kennedy, in your confirmation hearings, you promised to uphold the highest standards for vaccines. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership in the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on. You know, recent polls said 89% of voters, 81% of Trump voters agree vaccine recommendations should come from trained physicians, scientists, public health experts.
Another Republican senator physician, Dr. Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, asked RFK Jr. why he fired the CDC's 17-member vaccine advisory panel and replaced many of them with people who'd been paid to testify against vaccine makers in lawsuits.
If we put people who are paid witnesses for people suing vaccines, that actually seems like a conflict of interest. Real quickly, do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
RFK Jr. was confirmed as HHS Secretary earlier this year and tried to reassure senators that his vaccine policies wouldn't be disruptive. Growing skepticism about that, though, led to today's hearing.
He said, and I quote, that he would do nothing as HHS Secretary that makes it difficult or discourages people from taking vaccines. That was clearly not true. Robert Kennedy fired every member, every single one of the group responsible for making vaccine recommendations to doctors across the country under the false pretense of conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, many of the new members of the panel are outright vaccine deniers.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at the CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
and I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Without a CDC recommendation for something like the COVID vaccine, senators pointed out that drugstores are less likely to stock it and insurance companies reluctant to cover it, limiting access overall.
I would say effectively we're denying people vaccine.
You're wrong.
Now, meanwhile, the governors of California, Oregon, and Washington say when it comes to vaccine recommendations, they plan to go it alone. The 3 states jointly announced this week they're forming something they're calling the West Coast Health Alliance to create their own public health guidelines on vaccines, saying that the CDC under Secretary Kennedy can't be trusted. Meanwhile, across the country in Florida, state leaders there announced they will end all vaccine mandates for children to attend schools. Florida's governor announced that the state plans to create a commission to better align its policies with the public health beliefs of Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. Back to you.